Oh wait, no, he's getting married.
Yeah, haha. New year.
Algebra 1, Fun Fact Friday, the 14th of 2020, Valentine's Day. SFBA, students will be able to identify and use special products of binomials. Identify and use special products of binomials. It's the very back page for our notes, and it's the last page for our notes. Meaning, what's coming up, guys?
Huh?
Test is coming up, okay?
No.
So, next week, we
No.
don't have class on Monday. We don't have school on Monday, okay? But we'll have our class on Wednesday, then my dudes, and Fun Sock Friday next week. That means Wednesday, my dudes, we're going to be reviewing. Fun Sock Friday, we're going to be testing.
Dang it.
Dylan, change the date.
What?
Change the date.
Aha.
Oh, of course. Okay. So,
Oh,
so
wait.
x plus 2, quantity being squared. We're asked to find the product. What's it mean for something to be squared?
It means it's going to be times by itself.
Times by itself. It's that many of it being multiplied together. So we have 2 x plus 2's being multiplied together. So we have x plus 2 times x plus 2.
Yes, sir.
We have x plus 2 times x plus 2.
Oh, by the way, in your videos, you're really quiet. So, try to be loud.
Okay. Did you also turn up the volume on your computer?
Yes, all the way, and it's still quiet.
You might be using headphones helps a lot with that.
And it's still quiet.
Did you use headphones?
I did.
No, you didn't
Yeah.
yesterday.
Michelle gave me hers.
So, your ears used to everything we learned.
What?
How would we multiply this?
I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Because that
Okay.
everything is
Yep, we start with the x. X times x is? X to the second. X times 2 is? 2x. Now we go with the 2. 2 times x is?
Ooh. Pay time. Yeah.
2 times 2 is?
Two.
Try again.
Four.
X squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4. What can we do now?
Do the
Add the two
combined
x's.
thingy.
So we get x squared, and what's our next term?
4x.
Plus 4x plus 4.
And that is going to be it.
Was this really any different than what we just did?
Yes.
No, what was the only change that we saw here versus what we saw before? Absurdity. We just have to write it twice because it's being squared. So we're just saying it's squared, which means the same thing as multiplying by itself. So we just have to know what that means and actually write it. Is everything else the same so far? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Number 2. How many guys are trying number 2?
Okay, I got this.
When you have it or have questions, raise your hand.
Oh.
Yep, you want to check?
Bluey. Yo.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
No, you're not right.
Serenity.
Everything's right for this.
Hey, Serenity.
He likes subtracting.
Hey, Dylan Dowell, I need help.
Walk.
Dylan Carl Dowell. That
What?
You add. Oh,
Hey, Dylan. That's not Dylan. Yes. Nuh-uh. I found it. Hang on. Wait. Don't. Watch.
kind of not in
Square. 8, line, 15. Look at that. Yeah, right. Woo! I'm Mr. Crosswise.
No, wait.
There's 2 people put together. You know,
That's right.
it's like on here when you wrote it. It's like it's squared. It's right. It's like x squared. It's x times x. Or 3 squared. 3 times 3. I'm not going to write 3 times squared. Okay. Squared equals squared. Does that make sense? Same idea. We use squares by writing it plus. That's going to kind of change some of our explanations.
Jeez,
Okay.
sorry.
Attention yourself. Okay. Mr. Crosswell,
Hey,
So
that's
this
great.
means we have two y minus 4s being multiplied together.
Okay.
Dylan, what's y minus y? Or y times y, excuse me.
My squared.
Y squared. Okay. What's y times negative 4?
I'm Mr. Console.
Negative 4y.
Good job, Chase.
Now we go to the next one. Negative 4 times y is?
Y minus 4y.
Negative 4y. What's negative 4 times negative 4?
16.
Plus 16. Now we look to combine those middle terms still. And what do we get? Y squared. Y squared minus 8y.
Plus 16
Very
is
good.
your answer.
Questions on that?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll go straight number 3.
Okay, sir. 8, 9.
If you have or have questions, raise your hand.
Okay, yes, sir. 3. Sorry, God. Gee. Oops, that's my answer. Yo. I did it. What? Hey, Serenity, can you check? What'd you get? I got x squared. Serenity. Sorry, press it. X squared minus 6xy plus 9y.
Honestly, this is
Honestly.
easier than yesterday.
What is y times y?
None of your business.
What is it?
One.
No.
It's a square.
9.
What's negative 3 minus 4?
I-
Temperature's negative 3 degrees at like what?
You're gonna break the
How
heart.
degree is 3 degrees colder?
-6.
Look, I'm Mr. Console and I can be. Hey, you didn't high five me. Give me my. No, give it back. I am
Hey
Mr.
guys,
Console. Give it
attention up
back.
here.
These guys are gonna really regret this hard thing.
Already am. We have x minus 3y times x minus 3y. Then we're going to multiply these. X times x is negative, or x times negative 3y is negative 3xy. I just wrote a negative there. Negative 3xy. Okay. We like to put the x before the y here. We like to put the x before the y here. Okay. Now negative 3 times x is negative 3xy as well. What's negative 3y times negative 3y?
Plus 9.
Positive 9y squared. Now I like to combine like terms. X squared minus 6xy plus 9y squared. Now we do have everything in the right order because in alphabetical, x comes before y, right? X comes before y in the alphabet. So we just like to have our x prioritized by x's. Well, else is x to the second, x to the first, and this one doesn't have an x. So that's why it would come last.
I figured.
Okay, questions on that one?
Nope.
Okay, well, I guess try number 4.
I already am.
If you have number 4 or have questions, raise your hand.
Alrighty. Being all smarty pants. He doesn't know. Three times three is stacked equals.
Thank you. Dude, I'm like, every now and then I do something semi-athletic.
If you're gonna be honest,
Don't forget to have to like push-ups.
Yes. I did, I did it behind the back clap push the other day. So
Yeah, I know. I was here, and first you hit your butt.
Who?
He did. You did it, Latnail. I don't know. Try it.
Exactly.
Hey, Serenity.
my leg to work.
Hey, Serenity. You should start checking my answer. Presley, clap vision, go. No.
What's up?
Did I get it right? Can I do it on the board? Hey, let's go.
There we go.
I can't do that.
You can do dad push-ups. Like a push-up, like a clap push-up.
You know what I mean?
Hey, can I calibrate this thing? It's bothering me.
Sure.
Uh-oh.
I'm not right now.
Just do it. Just try. Well, like when you go
No,
down,
I don't.
when it starts
You
to
would
up,
do slow every hand.
like jump.
Oh no, it went bye-bye.
Yeah. It's not
I
that.
held this right here.
Did you touch it?
No, I mean yes.
Okay.
There's somebody at the door.
Okay, we'll get it off there first of all.
I did it.
Who's at the door? Chase. It looked different from the
No, you gotta go. Okay.
I thought Chase was a lot older.
Do
that.
Right here, right here.
Oh,
Do
I
it.
know.
This is what,
Yeah.
where the circle is.
Yeah,
So
mine
it's-
is that. It's just with my.
Do it.
I want to press the button.
Why?
Just do the clap.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
For what?
No, just hold it up next to it.
I think
Touch it.
Do it.
There you go.
Stuff something missing in the
Second.
trash.
Right, just like
What? Stuff something missing in the trash can.
But
I'm not sure what's going on. Why don't you go and just touch the spot? If you want to continue.
It's better. It's sort of.
it's like
Awesome.
Yep.
Can you do the clap on the crap push?
Yes,
Yeah,
you
I
can.
did it the other day. For advisory.
How do you have to get the time down?
Yeah, it's weird. Well, I'm not very flexible, so it's like it's really hard for me to get behind my back.
Yeah.
That's what I had a hard time with.
Don't
It was like
break that.
actually getting behind. So that was the hard part for me.
You just have to push really far off the ground. don't you?
Yeah, you have to give yourself a lot of time.
Where's the down? There we go.
Like,
You could probably go. You could probably get the normal clap.
he's like, maybe do the word.
I'm not that.
Hey, I don't like that in my classroom.
Yeah. I don't know how to get.
Oh,
Hold on, so.
You can do 1 foot.
Yeah, because I can't do 2 feet.
Why not?
Because this ankle is kind of.
Oh yeah, the
President, you're the only one that heard that.
How can you-
Kind of
One
screwed
big,
up
one
yesterday.
big, one small.
And I think you're the only person that heard that.
That's not.
See, and then you do this, and then you do that, and then.
What you say?
Why are you writing? You said not in class.
Yeah, I said I do not like that in my classroom.
Why is it blinking? It's like,
I don't know.
He's leave me alone.
what you say?
Said, be quiet. Or I will give you detention.
Okay.
Maybe it's say out there with them.
Okay.
Okay, so we're.
I am not a zoomer. I am
Yes,
not a
you are.
zoomer.
You're literally by definition a zoomer.
No, I'm Mr. Awesome now, so I'm not a zoomer.
Okay, you're a millennial.
Yes.
Welcome to the club.
You're not a millennial. You're Serenity now. You're a zoomer. Oh wait, I messed this up. This is supposed to be. Yeah, there we go.
16.
Oh yeah. Woo! There we go.
and then you like monster size.
So that is correct though. We would get 16a squared plus 24ab plus 9b squared. This guy's over here. This would be a 12ab. Dylan just forgot to write the b, but everything else.
Yeah, I
is
forgot
right.
to write the bead.
Question on that? Okay. Let's look at number 5. Do we know how to do number 5?
Can I do number 5?
Yes, we do. How do we know? Why do we know how to do number 5?
I don't know.
What we were doing last time.
That's what we did last
I know how to
time.
do
I
number
literally
5.
just erased a problem like that.
Why'd you erase it?
You just did it.
Yeah, Mr. Castle. Why'd you erase it?
Ah!
Okay.
Me and my just
What we do? What's up? What we do
Uh,
is you cover up the third one and you pretend it doesn't exist for a moment.
don't
Does not.
do not.
Does not.
Do not.
Grammar is important.
Is it not?
You're a teacher. Use proper grammar.
No.
Dylan, start on number 5.
Mr. Coffin does this one. This is the one that has to do.
Literally cover up the third. Can you do this?
Oh, so it's kind of like this. Or
Yeah. So go ahead and do that. Pretend the third one doesn't exist for a half second.
No,
Don't rewrite it. So,
Don't write it.
did you rewrite this one to start? Oh, here, but yeah. But here, it's already written out. So just do the multiplication.
No, 6, yeah.
X times X.
Yes.
What?
Oh, it'd be 3.
3x.
Yeah, 3x. Yes.
Notice how I actually write those little squiggles, if that helps.
And then the
3x. 3x. X times 3 is 3x.
And then we do yes. Mm, yes. No. Figure it out.
Remember Richard as a teacher.
No, I have to read it. Yeah.
What?
Why not do it?
You don't. Oh, I need help.
Yeah, ask me.
Okay, I got those. Now, how do I memorize the other one? I forgot about it. How do I remember? I don't know. I don't remember what to do.
It's right there.
Good job.
Wait. Rob, yeah.
So be positive.
I don't like this. This is no bueno.
I'm really bad at it.
Okay.
No, no bueno.
Okay, thank you. Is this right?
You have after this stay home now. You're staying with him. No,
Yeah, that's kind of how it works.
no day. I have soccer to do.
Literally cover it up with your finger, and can you multiply these two together? These two parentheses? Yeah, that's what we need to do. You need to ignore this one exists for a moment, this third one, and multiply the first two. Then after you're done multiplying the first two, you say, oh, we remember it. Let's talk about this one up here on number 5, guys.
Yeah.
So what we do is we literally, when you have 3 or more, you just cover up the last one. We only look at our first 2. We just cover it up when we look at our first 2. So we say x times x, we know how to do that. That's x squared. X times 3x is 3x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Now just because we covered that one up earlier, this x minus 4, we still have to rewrite it though. Because we haven't done anything with it yet. So we still have to write it because we haven't done anything with it yet. But now before we multiply these 2 parentheses together, which we could do, we want to simplify this first parenthesis to make our life easier. So we call it x squared, and then 3x minus 2x is negative x minus 6. And now we do this first parenthesis, this trinomial times this binomial. So x squared times x is x to the third. X squared times negative 4 is negative 4x squared. We do negative x times x, which is negative x squared. Excuse me. This should be a positive x here. Make this a positive x squared. Maybe 3x minus 2x should have been a positive x here. Then I do positive x times negative 4 and get negative 4x. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. And negative 6 times negative 4 is positive 24. Aha. So I like to combine like terms and erase this mistake my pen just made. X to the third comes first, our x squared comes second, our x's come next, and our constant comes last. X to the third minus 4x, or excuse me, minus 3x squared.
Negative 10. X.
Yeah, minus 10x
Plus 24.
plus 24 is our answer. Okay. Once again, my pen is not liking me very much.
I didn't do it.
I think that it's still working.
No, it does it whenever the registers a touch. Or like it's proximity. Why? Just to show that it's working. It's weird. Because they're doing it all year.
Yeah, you didn't notice it?
Don't.
Okay. Any questions on number 5, guys?
No, sir.
Do we have to do number 4 or number 6?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
hard.
Now number 6 is pretty big here, okay? Now, I kind of don't have any room because somebody went really big on number 4.
I don't know who did that.
Not the name names, okay?
Yeah, that's their name's Mr. Cosmo.
Oh, yes. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna erase some of my previous ones. So I have some work to work here because I don't have any anymore.
I do.
So I'm gonna erase these just so that way I actually have room.
Should I do number 6?
Erase the big one.
Can I do number 6,
Yeah, just
please,
erase
please,
the
please?
big one.
Hey, Mr. Cosmo, can I do number 6?
No.
I mean, Serenity, can I do number 6?
No, there's not enough room for that.
But I'm Mr. Cosmo.
You got no room for that.
I promise I won't write big.
I don't care. So 6,
You mean
x,
that-
hey guys, let's dial back in. X plus 2 to the 4th power, what's that mean?
You multiply
Plus
4
2
times.
Multiply
times
it.
x plus 2 times x plus 2
Yep.
times x plus 2.
X plus 2 times x plus 2
Oh, this is not going to be
Times.
bueno.
x plus 2 times x plus 2. 4 of them being multiplied together, okay? 4 of them being multiplied together, okay? Now what I would do if I were you
Yes, true.
is I would do the first 2 multiplied together
Ooh.
and do that. And then I would do the last 2 multiplied together and do that. And then we'll have 2 trinomials. Kind of like here we did the first 2 and ignore the third. In this case, I'll do the first 2, I'll do the last 2, and I'll multiply them together. Okay? I'll do the first 2, I'll do the last 2, I'll multiply them together. So you can go ahead and begin by multiplying those first 2 together. Okay? While I play this calibration game.
But wouldn't it be the same thing, so you can just put it side by side?
Oh, it would, wouldn't it?
Ooh, smart boys. And ladies.
Yeah.
And then you can just do the same
So we
thing.
can do x times x, which is x squared, x times 2x, which is 2, or x times 2, which is 2x, 2 times x, which is 2x, 2 times 2, which is 4. That's our first frequency now. We did the first 2 multiplied together. So then, for numbers 3 and 4 multiplied together, would I get the same exact thing? Yeah, because we're doing x plus 2 times x plus 2 again. We can double check our work though, and make sure we still have it. X times x is x squared, x times 2 is 2x, 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 2 is 4. And we do have the same thing in each of these two parentheses. Now do I have two new parentheses I can multiply together? Yeah, but what would I want to do before I start multiplying?
See if you can
Combine the
simplify
like
anything
Yeah.
inside the parentheses.
See if we can combine and simplify anything here, combine like terms.
Yeah.
So we can do x squared plus 4x plus 4. And we also have the same thing then here, x squared plus 4x plus 4. All of a sudden this isn't as intimidating. It's not as intimidating anymore now. Still maybe a little, okay, but it's not as intimidating. Okay? So now we're just doing a trinomial times a trinomial, are we? So we just kind of go step by step through this. Okay, we go step by step through this. No one step is incredibly difficult. The difficult part is our organization, remembering, well, what do we do? X squared times x squared, because we do the first times everything in the second, second times everything in the second, third times everything in the second. X to the fourth. X squared times 4x plus 4x, nope, cubed. 2 plus 1 is 3. X squared times 4 is 4x squared. Then we do 4x times x squared, which is what, Dylan? 4x times x squared. 4x, no. Plus 2 plus 3 is not plus forget. X times x squared is x to the. Nope. X times x squared is x to the third. We add the exponents. 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay. Then 4x times 4x is what serenity? 16x squared. Thank you. 4x times 4 is what, Hannah? Nope. 4 times 4 is 16x. So 4x times 4 is 16x. Okay, now we do the third term times everything in a second. So I'll pick that up in a second, no disrespect to you. 4 times x squared is 4x squared.
You just keep going and running out of paper.
4 times 4x is 16x. That's why we write small.
I am writing small.
4 times 4 is 16. That's pretty small.
Yeah, you said about like hello.
Would you write hello with S?
Now we look to combine like terms. What's going to come first in all of this?
The 4 cubed and the 4 cubed and
Nope.
the 4 cubed.
I suppose that's with the plot.
X with the exponent of 4. X to the fourth will come first. Are there any other x to the fourth?
No.
No, we move on to our second term. 2 underlines. What's the third? So 4x to the third, 4x to the third. That's all of them. Okay, what comes next?
The second.
X to the second, 4x to the second,
16x to the
16 to
second.
the second, and 4x to the second. What comes next?
The 16.
The actual x is 16x
16x, and then the last one is the 16.
and the 16. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now,
Sorry, dear man. Sorry. So, I did not assume you were going to right away.
so 1 underline, x to the fourth, that comes first. 2 underlines, 4 and 4 make, adding them, 8.
Oh.
X to the third. 3 underlines, we're on our third term, so we're on 3 underlines. 4 plus 16 plus 4. What is 4 plus 16?
20
Plus
plus 4 is
24,
24.
aha. 24x squared. 4 underlines, these were on our fourth term. 16 plus 16,
32.
32x. 5 underlines, fifth term, plus 16. So this ends up being our answer here.
Dang, that was a long
Okay, questions on that?
that was a long thing.
Okay, expression.
Huh?
Expression,
Yeah, sure.
what we call it. Okay. Questions on that?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Let's get it, 'cause you're ready.
Okay. Let's go on right below this. We're going to look at the product of a sum and a difference. Sum means what?
Means adding.
Adding. Difference means
Subtracting.
subtracting. So notice we do A plus B, and we do A minus B. What do we notice about here? Do we have A in both?
Yes.
Do we have B in both?
Yes.
Do The only difference is adding versus subtracting. So on the last ones, we had the same exact thing in the parentheses, right? We had y minus 4a and y minus 4. We had x plus 2 and x plus 2, 4a plus 3b and 4a plus 3b. The exact same things. This one, though, we have the same things, but they're different signs, aren't they? Okay? We're going to see something different now. So if we were to do a times a, we would get a squared. A times b, negative b, we get negative ab. B times a, we'll get a, b, and b times negative b would be negative b squared. Go ahead and write that if you haven't. Okay, we're just normal multiplying that like we have been.
I did not do that.
That's okay.
As I said, it looks like I said A, and then
Okay.
A, B, and then it looks like it said tab.
Okay, can we combine anything here? Yeah, we can. What can we combine, Presley? Yeah, negative AB and positive AB. What do those become?
Nothing.
0. So you can just write a squared minus b squared. We got rid of our middle. The resulting answer, a squared minus b squared, is called the difference. What's difference mean? Subtraction. Are we subtracting? Okay, it's called the difference of 2, because how many things do we have here that we're subtracting? 1, 2. This minus this. Difference of 2 squares. Difference of 2 squares. Because we say a squared and b squared are both squares, they're called perfect squares. The reason something's called a perfect square is because the same thing times itself is equal to it. Like 3 times 3 is what? 9. 3 times 3 is 9. So 9 is called a perfect square because it's 3 times 3. Can anyone think of another kind of a perfect square? No? What times itself is 24?
1.
Nothing times itself is 24, so 24 is not a perfect square.
No, 4.
Oh, 4. Okay. So what is 4? 4 is what times what? 2 times 2. So 4 is a perfect square. Who can think of another perfect square? 16 is what times what? 4 times 4.
49.
What's a perfect square? 49. 7 times 7. We can keep going. A squared is a perfect square because it's what times what? How do we get a squared? Multiply what times what? A times a. Is that the same thing by itself? Yeah. And b squared is a perfect square because it's b times b. So we call this the difference of 2 squares. Difference subtraction of 2, 1, 2 perfect squares. And we'll have this thing every time, okay? So if we have x plus 9 and x minus 9, x plus 9 and x minus 9, let's go through this too. What's x times x? X squared. What is x times negative 9? Negative 9x. What's 9 times x?
Plus 9x.
Plus 9x. What's 9 minus 9?
Oh, let's see that. Actually, no. That will be
81.
Negative 81. Minus 81. Now what are we going to, oh, this should be a negative plus 9x. Okay, so what do we notice here? What happened? What can we do?
You can subtract or plus 9 from 0, 9.
We can combine our middle terms.
Yeah.
What's negative 9x plus 9x? 0. So we just end up with x squared minus 81. Is this a difference of 2 squares as well?
Yes.
Yeah, because subtraction difference, 1, 2 items. X squared is a perfect square because x times x. Is 81 a perfect square? Yeah, 9 times 9, we just did that. So x squared minus 81 is also called a difference of 2 squares. We're going to use that a lot actually next, 2 chapters from now, next chapter.
What chapter? How many chapters?
2. I think it's 1 chapter from now. We'll use that a lot. X squared minus 81, we'll use that, the difference of 2 squares a lot, okay? Now, what we notice, guys, is what happened in both of these. We got rid of our middle terms, right? And we got to a difference of 2 squares. What do we notice is the same thing about these two parentheses, about the two problems? Okay? Do we have the same numbers in each parenthesis? And in the first and second parenthesis, we have the same numbers?
Yeah.
And then here in the first and second parenthesis, we have the same things? Yeah, except for what's the only difference? One's negative, one's positive. Did that happen a moment ago on our first 6 problems when it was they were both positive or they're both negative? No. But it does happen when it's the same thing in parentheses and one's positive and one's negative. That's when this does happen. Because if we look what happens here, we're going to get the middle terms to be the same number but different signs now every time. Okay, so let's try number 7. What do you guys try number 7? You know what, example 7, go ahead and go on to example 8. If you're doing number 8, go ahead and go on to number 9. Okay, go and keep working while I do this number 7, which you guys got already. X times x was x squared. X times 5 is 5x. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. Our middle terms, they add together to 0 because we have x squared minus 25. Now we have x squared minus 25 now. Our middle terms end up adding out to 0, okay? Let's look at number 8 here. Okay, m times m is m squared. N times 2n is 2mn. I put the m first, alphabetical. Negative 2n times n is negative 2mn. And negative 2n times 2n is negative 4n squared. Our middle terms once again simplify out. We have m squared minus 4n squared. What are we noticing here? Do the middle terms keep simplifying out? Yeah, is that a pattern? Okay, that should happen every single time you have the same exact thing in the parentheses, but the signs are different. We end up getting the first item x squared, the second item squared. So x squared is x squared, 5 squared is 25, and we subtract them. M squared is m squared, 2n squared is 4n squared, subtract them. So here we can hypothesize that because we have x squared plus 2 and x squared minus 2, the same thing with different signs, that we should get whatever x squared squared is. So x squared times x squared is x to the 4th. 2 times 2 is 4, and we should subtract them. If you notice this pattern, we say we should get this. Let's test it out. X squared times x squared is x to the 4th. X squared times negative 2 is negative 2x squared. 2 times x squared is plus 2x squared. And 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And look, those middle terms do simplify, and we do get that as our answer. Questions on that? Okay, you guys did great with that, okay? That is it for our note packet. Woo!
It down.
RIP headphone users with that one.
Did you notice you're really loud at your desk? Like, when you were drinking your water bottle, like, beginning of the semester, I was recording over there.
Yeah, I would say that's where the mic is, so it's just naturally louder over there. RIP headphone users. So you have this whole thing, and this whole thing is doing the exact kind of problems we just had on this, okay?
Oh, we're doing math. We're doing coding at the college. We're doing what? Shit, Chase.
Yes.
What
Cody.
Man, it's pink for Valentine's Day. I didn't even plan that. I didn't even plan
It's
that.
not the right hand. It's too light.
None of your business.
Let's just get it during past day. Let's just work right now.